So the intent of the advisory board, when it was suggested, was again to include community members in the discussion around BNSF, kind of the facts around everything from the current zoning to development agreements, etc., and then solicit feedback, possibly with the idea that there would be some due diligence or action items that would come out of this committee in these discussions. Again, and also to just kind of help inform and drive community sentiment and things that we wanted to take into account as we negotiate with BNSF on their property located just north of town. So that was the intent. And again, I guess we can move to the comments to see if that answered anybody's questions and or what comes from that.
Okay, I do have 4 speakers that have asked. I have Casey Hubbard.
So I can have my time.
Okay. Don Anderson.
Don Anderson, 102 Falls Creek Lane, Gunter, Texas. The selection of the people for this board, you started saying a diverse group. Is that what you're looking at there?
That was the intent, yes.
Okay. Is there an opportunity for citizens to submit their name for consideration on this selection?
When it was originally intended, Mr. Anderson, it was, again, to try to keep it a smaller, concise group, was to have a nominee from each of the council members, including the mayor. I hadn't considered an application process, no.
Yeah. Well, are you ensuring that your committee is diverse enough to handle, say, for all our health problem concerns that we've got, dealing with air quality, as well as people that are for and people that are against BNSF, to get a good smattering of people going through there? And how are you determining that you can have such a diverse group?
Well, I don't know who the group is, so it's hard for me to determine that right now, because again, tonight that's what was on the agenda, was for people to nominate those members. So until then, I don't know who everyone is nominating. So I don't have the ability to do that at this point until I hear who people are nominating.
Okay. And who's going to be the chairperson for this committee?
The original intent was for me to do that.
Okay.
Thank you. Ashley Hawkins.
Sorry, I'm recording on both because there's an issue. Why, my first, Ashley Hawkins, 1650 McConnell Road. My first question was, why was this considered a special meeting? Like, couldn't this stuff just been on the October agenda?
The intent was due to some of the kind of existing timelines that exist.
Which are what?
As it has to do with the BNSF negotiations. So we wanted to accelerate this in order to get the committee formed, so we could solicit that feedback.
Okay. And my question was, obviously, which I think you kind of answered, was how does one join the committee? But y'all are saying you guys are appointing people individually, correct?
Yeah, because again, the intent was to try to keep it somewhat small.
And was this ever being posted public for people to apply for this committee?
There's not been anything posted.
Why was that?
Because again, it was going to be at the appointment of the council members and the mayor. So there was not an application process.
Okay. So now obviously people have discussed their concerns regarding this. I guess, how does someone get appointed to the process? How does someone get appointed by the city?
I think as it currently sits, it probably would be expressing interest to one of the 6 of us about your desire to participate.
So if a citizen wants to join on the committee, they have to individually address one of the council members expressing interest that they want to be on the committee when it's never been publicized. Is that correct?
Well, it's been mentioned in several meetings.
It's been mentioned, but it was not declared that this was the process starting.
That is correct, because again, it never was intended to be an application process, because the goal was to do this and pull it together rather quickly, not create some long-term.
I'm just asking for transparency in this aspect for the citizens that are concerned with BNSF that might have been interested to join the committee. And then, I guess like you answered, there's not a requirement. Clearly, you just appoint one of y'all's friends and they join you. Thank you. Oops, sorry.
Mr. Dave Self?
I'm gonna give my time.
I'm sorry.
I'm giving my time.
Okay.
Hey Mayor, hey Council, Mark Merrill, 71 Mallard Court, here in Gunter. I'm a little disturbed at what I'm hearing from the Councilmember Marks regarding this advisory committee. You just said that you want to appoint citizens to this committee, that you've discussed it with the other council members, and that the idea is to appoint people that you've already made decisions about. Since this has already been made aware to everybody in this meeting, that's a violation of TOMA. Because y'all have discussed an action to be taken by the city in this meeting, but you'd already made your opinions. You'd already selected your people. That's determining an outcome prior to the meeting actually occurring. Would you agree with that, Mr. Besser?
So just let me comment on that. That's not what was on the record. That's not what's been reflected or said in this meeting, and that's not what has occurred in my view. So I understand your concern, but that's not what has occurred, so I don't see that there's been any type of violation.
How is it not a violation to have come to a conclusion of who you're going to nominate as an individual council member to a board that hasn't even been formed yet prior to forming the board?
You're forming that conclusion, and it's an assumption, and it's not factual.
It's factual about what he just said was going to occur. Am I incorrect in understanding your statement, sir, that you said that you would be the head of this committee and that the members of the committee would be nominated by each council member and the mayor, and that there had not been any application process, and that y'all were going to nominate those folks tonight? Am I misunderstanding what you said?
Yes, the council member and mayor, we were going to nominate a community member.
Tonight.
To participate.
Tonight, and take action upon that possibly. Correct?
That was the original intent, yes.
Okay, so again, my understanding from Toma is business to be discussed in an open meeting has already been discussed in executive session, and it has been discussed in executive session because y'all discussed forming this committee in executive session, and now you're not.
There was not the name of anyone.
I didn't say that there was. What I'm saying is that now you're telling us that you've already selected who you're gonna,
We didn't.
but you haven't made it public yet.
No, we didn't even mention one name. Not
I didn't
one
say that
name.
I didn't say that you had to. What I'm saying is that y'all formed as a group to
No.
discuss.
Each council
Oh,
member.
excuse me, it's my turn, Don. So y'all went into executive session, and each council member's already got an idea of who they want to put on this committee. You haven't even discussed it in executive session yet, but you already knew you had somebody you wanted to put on this committee. How did you know you were going to form a committee? How did you know you were going to be able to nominate one individual? Was it discussed in the last meeting? Or was it discussed tonight in executive session? Or was it discussed outside of the meeting?
So let me just respond. Anything said in executive session is privileged, doesn't need to be disclosed, but it could be part of that discussion through BNSF because it is part of that. And I think the record speaks for itself of what's been said tonight, and I don't see that it's anything clear or close to being a TOMA violation. I just think you're misunderstanding.
So last
But I
meeting,
appreciate your comments.
at the last meeting, when Spencer made the motion and said, I want to create the committee, he mentioned that he just wanted to create the committee.
Right.
And I think you even mentioned that possibly each of us would select somebody. But to
where was
my
that
knowledge,
discussed?
I don't know that anybody else has discussed how we're gonna select, or, because I even asked our city manager earlier in the week, how is this committee gonna be selected?
Okay, and I guess that's where my disconnect from what was
I
told to
think-
everybody was because
Right.
what I heard come out of your mouth was, we're each gonna nominate an individual to be on this committee. There's no application process. There's no public posting of a position to be had, but you've already come to the conclusion of who your nominee may be, or who your nominee may be, or who Mr. Peters' nominee may be, or even the mayor's. We're not supposed to be doing business outside of the meeting, but you have already deliberated and come up with a conclusion of who you may appoint or want to appoint.
I don't believe anybody deliberated, but I see what you're saying based on how he just answered Ashley's question. I don't believe anybody actually deliberated. I think that we all kind of knew based on last meeting that we might all be picking someone, but we haven't talked about it. Not in my presence. Not in my presence, I would tell you.
Oh,
I'll be honest. I would be honest with that.
Okay, thank you.
I have one more, Mr. Dave Self. Oh, wait, did I? Yeah. You gave it, that's right.
I gave it,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, I'm so sorry.
I still have 2 minutes. if
Yeah,
somebody wants
she
to
still
take
has
it.
her 2 minutes that no one has used yet.
No, I think the advisory board, it's a good idea. It's a little late in the stream, but I mean, it's a good effort right now. But I also think it's probably gonna be an echo chamber. I mean, I'm sure Cheryl's got somebody special picked out that's gonna be rah-rahing for Cheryl, and I think it would be probably more appropriate to get a true spattering of the community by taking the council's decisions out of it. Otherwise, it's a herring. Because I know who Cheryl's gonna put on. She's gonna put somebody that's gonna agree with Cheryl. Larry's gonna have somebody that agrees with him. Patsy, Connie. It looks good though. I'll tell you, it does look good, but I just don't know how effective it's gonna be. I think you should consider posting it, seeing who's interested, regardless of what their thought process is, and let the city manager pick them. Let somebody else pick them. Take this body out of it. Then it's gonna be true. It's not gonna be an echo chamber. That's my thoughts.
Thank you.
I'm gonna go off for minutes. So Amy, I know you said that there is no evidence, but there is evidence that citizens might have been coming up and getting interviewed by Chief Gibson in regards to this, but unfortunately we were denied the evidence of footage of these citizens coming forward. So are you confirming that no one here on the board or city manager has not interviewed any citizens regarding this committee?
It's my understanding there's been no TOMA violation, and there was a misunderstanding on what the factual basis was.
Okay, so if
That's the way I view it, and
that's fine, but if I'm telling you that there is, and there is footage evidence, what are you gonna do, I guess? I mean,
if you'd like to submit that to me, I'm happy to take a look at it.
And I just told you I can't get the footage. Okay,
Yeah,
I'm being denied the footage, let me just rephrase that. When I'm just asking for lobby records and exterior footage. It's not a safety protocol.
You have to just make an open record request, and
I did.
We did.
I did.
We did.
We just have to deal with that. Have to look at it.
So if
It
Karen
wasn't
pulled
forwarded to
footage,
you,
did
was
she
it?
give it to you to prove that there was TOMA violations?
I'm sorry.
If the mayor was to pull footage, could she show that to you and show that that was a violation?
I represent the entire city, the entire council. I can have contact with anybody that is from the city.
That is willing to show you the footage?
Sure.
Okay.
I'll share that with Angie, because I was copied on your personal information request. And I can share that with him. Do you want to explain?
Can I
We're
ask?
still in the discussion part of number 3, the advisory board. Are you planning to move forward? Are you planning to?
Yeah, I was actually gonna make a motion to postpone the formation of this board until our regularly scheduled October 19th meeting.
Any other discussion or motions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that's everyone. We will postpone that to October
you said
19th
there was
meeting.
urgency to pick the board.
And we're on agenda item number 4 to discuss, consider, and act on determining agenda items to be placed placed on future city council meeting agendas and direct the city secretary as to which future agenda the item should be placed upon.
Well, I guess I have two. One would be the one that I just mentioned. The second, I'd like to make a motion to add an agenda item to the next city council meeting, dated October 19th, to consider mutual termination of the BNSF development agreement.
What?
To consider
Mutual termination of the BNSF
termination.
development agreement.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, 22nd. All in favor?
Aye.
That's
Can we get the
everyone.
attorney to clarify what that means? Sorry. What that means by termination? For,
There's gonna be an agenda item on the next regular council meeting for the council to consider, mutually terminating the BNSF development agreement. That's how I understood that motion.
Okay, and so that motion passed, and you said you had another one.
It was the
Oh, that was
formation of
it.
the committee. Yeah,
The
that's it.
formation, and that was already postponed.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, then that is all of tonight's business, and this meeting is adjourned at